In response to the multifaceted and complex security challenges, including terrorism and cross-border crime, sub-regional cooperation initiatives involving states that share common borders have emerged. The G5 Sahel, the Accra Initiative, and the Multinational Joint Task Force MNGTF are part of this desire to pool efforts to counter the jihadist threat. Despite significant results, these organizations are at a crossroads, especially as security challenges continue to grow in the Sahel and towards the coastal countries. I'm Abdullahi Hassan, and this is In The Sahel, WADR's weekly magazine that delves into the heart of the African security crisis, telling stories and strategies to shape the region's response to present challenges. Last week's episode of the program was on local funding initiatives, while this week we zoom in on the Accra Initiative, the journey so far. But what better way to start than to bring you a summary of the 3 security initiatives to have emerged in West Africa to tackle insurgency. David Vincent tells us.
Over the years, security initiatives have emerged to tackle the security threats. These platforms included the G5 Sahel, the Accra Initiative, and the MNGTF. The G5 Sahel, which includes the states of the Sahel, faces difficulties, particularly with Mali's withdrawal from the said organization. In addition, with the latest putsch in Niger, the architecture of governance in the Sahel countries have fallen into a 4/5 score because of the coups in Mali, Burkina, and Niger, and Chad, which has transitioned to a democratic government. So far, only Mauritania and Chad remain members of the French-supported platform established in 2015. Amid the worsening security, the Multinational Joint Task Force emerged to address the Boko Haram crisis in the Lake Chad Basin. Counting on Nigeria's leadership and financial contributions, Benin, Cameroon, and Chad patrolled border areas in attempts to protect populations and eliminate terrorists. As for the Accra Initiative, which is an initiative of coastal countries, also struggles to take off despite joint military operations. The increasing pressure of armed terrorist groups with the multiplication of attacks in these coastal countries demonstrates the objective of having access to maritime opportunities. On the contrary, territorial discontinuities, insufficient approaches, tools, and above all, the problem of political instability in certain countries further complicates the dynamics with the persistence of a cross-cutting threat that undermines the effectiveness of these initiatives.
David Vincent with that report. From Ghana, Eche Atisu explains the core operational base of the Accra Initiative and the promises made at the launch of this task force.
Launched in 2017, the Accra Initiative seeks to find lasting solutions to the many terror activities hitting the West African sub-region for years. The Accra Initiative has countries along the coast, including Benin, Ghana, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, as well as Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger trading ideas on how best to fight jihadists in the region. Speaking at a day summit in Accra last year, President Nana Akufo-Addo charged leaders within the sub-region to do more to end acts of terrorism.
I say nothing new when I say that West Africa continues to suffer from the effects of the scourge of terrorism and violent extremism, spreading rapidly across the region. Indeed, as recent events continue to render the Sahelian countries of West Africa epicenters of terrorism, we continue to watch in angst how the activities of terrorist and extremist groups have resulted in the unfortunate disregard for the national sovereignty and territorial integrity of our states, the painful deterioration of the strength of our democracies, the wanton displacement of masses of our populations, and the needless loss of considerable numbers of lives. Today, the terrorist groups, emboldened by their apparent success in the region, are seeking new operational grounds, a development that has triggered a southward drift of the menace from the Sahel to coastal West Africa. It was in order to curb the spread of terrorism from the Sahel to coastal states that the Accra Initiative was formed.
Executive Secretary of the Accra Initiative, Ben Derry, says the initiative has the potential to help fight terrorism in the sub-region.
The heads of state expressed their deep concern for the dramatic expansion of terrorism, violent extremism, and transnational organized crime and transhumance consequences in the Accra Initiative countries. Express their sympathy and full support to the member states and their populations who face violent extremism and terrorism on a daily basis. Took note of the commitments by partners to support the Accra Initiative in the fight against terrorism in the sub-region. Reaffirmed their commitment to mobilize the necessary indigenous resources to operationalize within a month the multinational joint task force of the Accra Initiative. Recommended within the framework of the Accra Initiative that concrete actions, including fundraising, be taken to support the countries severely affected by terrorism.
It is worth noting that Ghana has not reported any terrorist attack within its national territory, but has recorded terrorist-related activities on its shared border with Burkina Faso. However, nearly a decade since the creation of the Accra Initiative and several others, including the MNJTF, experts say coastal states of West Africa and the Sahel require tangible, long-term support to eliminate terrorism. From available UN data covering January 1 to June 30, 2023, the region recorded 1,814 incidents of terrorist attacks, which resulted in 4,593 fatalities. By the first quarter of 2024, nearly 2 million displaced persons were recorded in the region, with the highest number in Burkina Faso. At present, an estimated 30 million people require food assistance, and without adequate response, this number will increase to 42 million by the end of the year, all due to insecurity in West Africa.
A report filed in by Eche Atisu. A cross-reading of these regional mechanisms seems necessary to be able to draw lessons and make proposals focused on solutions for their survival. While the G5 Sahel is near extinction and the MNJTF engaged in shadow operations, what is the future of the Accra Initiative, whose mere launch remains the very known fact about its existence? Speaking to my colleague Augustine Kole on this very subject is Anthony Abuage, a Ghana-based security expert and data analyst.
I must say that until 2020, Accra Initiative program has been an effective one and promoting collaboration among all the 7 member states, including Ghana, providing an intelligence among all the states to ensure a proactive approach in combating terrorism, extremism, and trans-organized crime. Very unfortunate after 2020, where we had a series of coups from the Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. I believe that this new development regarding the coup of these very countries I've mentioned, who are very integral states of the initiative, has really caused what we call some lack of commitment, because the political class who are handling the affairs of this country are more or less not giving their best in contributing to the cause of the initiative. And again, because the initiative actually happened to have one of its strengths from external support, and with this whole development of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, I must say that it has really brought the activity of this initiative down.
Now, what would you say? Because its aim is not just to fight this alone. This is a coordinated approach. It's through collaborative security mechanisms that involves member countries. How would you describe the collective intent of this initiative as it was being established?
The establishment of the initiative was a great one to ensure a robust security approach, especially looking at the level of threats we are facing in the West Africa sub-region, the Sahel. It is important to say that, to me as an expert, I would have wished that even though we can say that there are a lot of development in the sub-region regarding coups, but looking at the importance of this initiative, it will be prudent for us as a sub-region to see how best we can strengthen it further and further to ensure that we can fight all these threats which are emerging from the sub-region.
What could you consider as a challenging factor for which you think this initiative has not met its objective?
One is lack of funds, because one of their major sources of resource is to seek support from the outside domain and external support. And so what it means is that if those support are not coming, obviously it will have negative impact on the operation. Another key thing is effective coordination from individual states to ensure that the initiative can have its best implementation. And then to the last one, the political will for these member states to put in the efforts to collectively fight against the emerging threats within the West Africa sub-region.
And how is the political factor affecting the process? Would you mind explaining more about the political factor that is impeding the collective fight against violent extremism within these Accra Initiative member countries?
Until recently, where we had some coup from Burkina Faso, Niger, and then that of Mali, where there's a trigger that they have opted themselves from the ECOWAS sub-region. And as we speak now, the matter is still pending as in how the kind of approach that ECOWAS is intending to use in making sure that such development is resolved. Until then, I can't say that the various leaders who are steering the affairs of these three countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, their commitment is something that cannot be compared to the earlier fight at the time that the coup had not gone on in these various countries. So basically, the coup has been one of the hindrances to this initiative.
At this point, what can we say, or what's the possibility of the Secretariat of the Accra Initiative ensuring that the objective of this initiative is met, especially Burkina Faso is a member of the Accra Initiative, yet Burkina Faso has pulled out of even the African bloc ECOWAS. How can we reconcile this?
I think that it would have been important for the state, as particularly Ghana, to play a major role, because remember, Ghana is the place that the initiative started. And so it is important for the president of Ghana, yes, even though Burkina Faso have triggered to opt out from the ECOWAS sub-region. But I think that should not stop Ghana to collaborate with them, because these are two neighboring countries in order to team up to fight the terrorists or other emerging threats. But as we speak now, there is a bone of contention between even the president of Ghana and that of Burkina Faso in the recent statement made by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And so that is also another matter that should be considered. So going forward, probably we must say that the ECOWAS as a mother organization must make sure they put in together the necessary measures so that obviously, if possible, all those various states who have opted out from the ECOWAS sub-region will be brought back so that this initiative can continue to work robustly.
One of the objectives of this, especially the fight against transnational organized crimes and violent extremism within member countries' border areas, how do you evaluate the process?
I think that if you consider or take Ghana in the context, one of the key things that has been a pressing issue with respect to trans-organized crime is the trade of illegal arms. And as we speak, the problem regarding illegal arms, I must say that it's alignment. And that goes to state that the cooperation and effectiveness at our borders are not robust as we expect it to be, because there are other critical issues that is also influencing this whole proliferation. For instance, if you look at the porous borders and other key vulnerabilities that are also contributing to that effect. So in the context of Ghana, I think that there's much to be done if only the various states who are involved in this whole initiative are well committed, both in capacity building and that of resource. I believe as a state, we should be able to make a progress.
You talk about capacity building and resource. As part of the activities of the Accra Initiative, especially on peace and security, in 2020, it is stated that a need for security and intelligence sharing through the training of personnel. How can you evaluate this training in 2020?
Yes, that has been robust. And I think that there have been a lot of input, only that until, like I said earlier, until this school, things are not as it is because of some lack of political will. But before then, there were a lot of headways, which I can confirm that there were. Unfortunately, we can't boast of that today because for the past 3 days, there has been a serious terrorism attack at Burkina Faso border, and a lot of people have been killed. So it tells you that the robust cooperation and capacity building that was initiated even before 2020 and that of 2020 is not as we have now. Because if it should be as we have now, I don't think that mass of people at the border of Burkina Faso will be killed.
All right, sir. As we take leave of you, what are the necessary measures that need to be put in place to make the Accra Initiative very effective, and that its permanent secretariat in Accra, Ghana can be more effective, especially when it comes to the core values of political dialogue, governance and development, peace and security?
Well, I think it is important that we look at a dependable resource that initiative can depend on, rather than only looking up to a foreign support, which at the end of the day, if those support does not come, activities of the initiative can't achieve its aim. That is key. And another key thing that I would like to say is that we need to put away the lack of political will. Regimes must commit to the initiative for the best interest of the country, because without the people, there will not be any government. The government is there because the people are there. And so it is important that we collaborate as a state to ensure that we fight all those threats that are emerging within the region.
That was Anthony Abuage, a Ghana-based security expert and data analyst. And this is where we draw the curtains on this edition of In The Sahel, WADR's security program aiming to tell the African security crisis the African way. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to my guests and colleagues for their contributions. Join this frequency, 94.9 FM, West Africa Democracy Radio, every Friday at 7:30 a.m. and the same day at 6:30 p.m. for the rebroadcast. Do join our discussions on our social media handles, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, on Facebook, WADR English Service, and stream live on WADR.org. For this and previous editions of the program, log on to www.wadr.org. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. It's a bye for now.